Hello, good morning. I'm Nasywa PA, and today I will be telling you a classic story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived an unhappy young girl. Her mother had passed away, and her father had married a widow with 2 daughters. Her stepmother didn't like her at all. Her kind thoughts and loving touches were only for her own daughters. Everything was too nice for the stepsisters. Nice dresses, delicious food, and every home comfort. While for the poor unhappy young girl, there was nothing at all. No dresses, only her stepsister's hand-me-downs, no lovely dishes, nothing but scraps, and no rest and no comfort, since she had to work hard all day tending for the house. Only when evening came was she allowed to sit for a while by the fire, near the cinders. That's why everyone called her Cinderella. Cinderella used to spend long hours all by herself talking to the cats and birds. One day, the cat said, "Meow," which actually meant, "Cheer up, you have something that none of your stepsisters has, and that is beauty." It was quite true. Cinderella, even dressed in old rags, was still a very beautiful lady, while her stepsisters, no matter how elegant or splendid their dresses were still clumsy, lumpy, and ugly, and always will be. One day, new dresses arrived at the house. A ball was to be held at the palace that night, and the stepsisters were getting ready to go. While Cinderella didn't even dare ask if she could come too, since she already knew what the answers would be. You're staying home to scrub the floors, wash the dishes, and turn down our beds, since we'll be coming home very late and very tired," said one of the stepsisters. Cinderella could only sigh as she sees her stepmother and sisters out the front door. But suddenly, something amazing happened. When Cinderella was sitting all alone, there was a sudden burst of light, and then a fairy had appeared. "Don't be frightened, Cinderella," said the fairy. "I know you would love to go to the ball, and so you shall." "How can I, dressed in rags?" Cinderella responded. "The guards will surely turn me away." The fairy smiled. As she chants her magical spell and waves her magical wand, Cinderella suddenly found herself wearing the most beautiful dress she had ever seen. "And now for your coach. A real lady would never go to a ball on foot. Quick, get me a pumpkin," the fairy demanded. "Oh, why, of course," Cinderella said, rushing away. The fairy then turned to the cat. "And you, bring me back 7 mice. But remember, they must be alive." Soon, Cinderella returned with the pumpkin, and the cat with 7 mice they had caught in the cellar. With the wave of the fairy's magic wand, the pumpkin turned into a sparkling coach, and the mice turned into 6 white horses, while the 7th turned into a coachman, wearing a smart uniform and carrying a whip. Cinderella could hardly believe her eyes. "You shall go to the ball, Cinderella, but remember, you must return at midnight. That is when my spell ends. Your coach will turn back into a pumpkin, and the horses will turn back into mice. You will be wearing rags and wearing clogs instead of these beautiful glass slippers. Do you understand?" Cinderella smiled and said, "Yes, I understand." And so Cinderella had an amazing night at the ball, dancing the night away with the prince. That is until she heard the first stroke of midnight. Remembering what the fairy had said, without a word, Cinderella slipped away from the prince's arms and ran down the steps. As she ran, she lost one of her glass slippers, but not even for a moment did she even dream of stopping to pick it up. If the last stroke of midnight were to sound, oh, what a disaster it would be! Out she fled and vanished into the night. The prince, who was now madly in love with Cinderella, picked up the glass slipper and said to his ministers, "Go and search everywhere for the girl whose foot the slipper fits. I will never be content until I find her." And so the very next day, the ministers set off to try on the shoe on every girl in the land, until only Cinderella was left. That awfully entitled girl could not have been at the ball. "Tell the prince he ought to marry one of my daughters instead. Can't you see how ugly Cinderella is?" the stepmother stabbed. But to everyone's amazement, the shoe fitted perfectly on Cinderella. And suddenly, the fairy had reappeared. As she flicked her magical wand, Cinderella suddenly appeared with the most beautiful dress, sparkling with youth and beauty, while her stepmother and sisters gaped at her in amazement. The minister said, "Quick, come with us, Cinderella. The prince is waiting for you." And so Cinderella reunited with the prince, and they got married and lived happily ever after. And so that concludes my story of Cinderella. It's cool, isn't it? Well, aside from the cool story, we could also learn something valuable. For me, it is that we should always be kind to everyone, no matter what, and to always be forgiving to those who have done us wrong. Well, thank you all for your attention. This has been Nasywa PA. Have a good day.